Hello, and today we're going to be talking about Sia's so-called movie about people on the spectrum called Music. This film from the start has been an extreme controversy, but now that more information about the film has come out, it has gotten worse for Sia. Music is a film directed by Sia featuring Maddie Ziegler, obviously, because everything Sia makes, she seems to be in. Leslie Odom Jr. from Hamilton, and Kate Hudson from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I don't know what that is, but you guys probably do. This is the summary of the film on IMDb. Zoo is newly sober when she receives news that she is to become the sole guardian of her half-sister named Music, a young girl on the autism spectrum. The film explores two of Sia's favorite themes, finding your voice and creating family. This summary, based off of the trailer, doesn't seem completely wrong, but since I'm not planning on watching the movie and giving money to that ableist person, let me know in the comments. So that's basically the intro to the video. Here's part one on everything that happened with this movie. So Sia had a few interviews about this movie, and let me highlight one in specific. Roll the clip.
It was the first rehearsal, and Kate was a little bit late, and Maddie arrived, and she was living across the road from me at the time. And I could see something was wrong with her. She was pale, and she was just unlike herself. And I'd known her since she was 11, and she was 14 now. And I was like, honey, what's wrong? Is there something wrong? And she just burst into tears, and she just said, I don't want anyone to think that I'm making fun of them. And I was like, oh, honey, like, I won't let that happen.
And this brings me to my first point, Maddie Ziegler playing an autistic character. Maddie Ziegler, a neurotypical person, plays Music, a girl on the autism spectrum who Sia says is very low functioning, and one time even compared her to an inanimate object like a wig.
Here's this person who can't speak, she might as well be like an inanimate object like a wig, except there's so
fine. I am not necessarily putting the blame on Maddie when I say these things, but I think Sia made her think what she was doing wasn't wrong, even though she came crying about it, and it definitely was wrong. Sia claims she had tried to get an autistic character to play Music on the set, but it was too overwhelming for her, and Sia had to apparently let her go. If it was so overwhelming for her, Sia could change the set to make it less overwhelming. Isn't she the one who's preaching love and inclusivity for people on the spectrum? Plus, it's not like Sia had to go, oh, well, that autistic person wasn't a fit for the job. Time to hand the job over to Maddie, the one who I gave multiple opportunities to, instead of picking a new person on the spectrum, since everybody on the spectrum is different. And I just quoted her, everybody on the spectrum is different. That kind of backfired when she gave it to Maddie. Here was a tweet she replied to. She seemed pretty salty about it. It was basically an autistic girl saying, oh, I can audition on short notice, if you need an autistic girl to play Music. She replied with this: maybe you're just a bad actor. That doesn't seem very inclusive, Sia. Now, let's move on to a more harmful part of this movie. During meltdowns the Music has, instead of hugging her, Leslie Odom's character, Ito, decides it's a good idea to lie on top of her and claims he's crushing her with his love. If I can find the scene, I'll show it, or at least pictures. As you can plainly see here, it looks like Music is having a meltdown. And then Kate and Leslie's characters notice, and he coaches her and tells her to get on top of her. This is harmful because this is a way that a lot of people on the spectrum get killed and injured. So Sia promoting this will start a domino effect where people start seeing it done, so they do it and it repeats. That type of restraint should be used never, ever. Before we start, I wanted to give you guys some tips on what to do if there is a sensory meltdown or a sensory overload going on. So I will put a text from Google, and you should follow those rules and get some weighted blankets and stress balls and stuff like that, and smelly stuff that can help with sensory overloads. I will show some news articles of this happening. It's very fishy to me that Sia would research autistic people and ways to restrain them and not research what can go wrong. Next point is Sia's tweets. These aren't really a point, just proving to show how defensive people get when they know they're wrong. Maybe it's just because Sia's worked really hard on this movie, and most of me says that her heart wasn't in the right place and she is just trying to make inclusivity, but she didn't do enough research, and Sia is one of those people that get defensive, and I don't blame her for getting defensive, but when she doesn't listen to the autistic community, that's where I draw the line at being defensive and straight up just arguing and putting a lot of people in harm's way. The autistic community had some insightful things to say about this movie and why it's harmful, and they have watched the full film, so I'll link those in the description. Go watch those before you go any further if you want. Just come back because the algorithm will slap me down, and yeah, if you don't. Final reason in part 1, the snowman challenge.
Okay, let's do it. I want you to know that I'm never leaving, cause I miss the snow till death will be freezing. Yet you were my home for all seasons. So come on, let's go below zero and out from the sun. I love you forever and we'll have some fun. I almost passed out, but that's okay.
You basically sing the whole chorus to see a snowman in one breath. This challenge was made first when Sia started getting backlash for the film. Her people that started it probably were trying to divert the attention from her controversy, but that's only my speculation. That concludes part 1, the backlash. Here is part 2, the movie is released, which she was saying in her tweet, you guys should watch the movie first, so the movie has been released. First scene of the movie is where we start off with the problems. Roll the clip. This is copyright music, so enjoy me explaining how wrong this is. Here she is mocking stimming. This looks extremely mocking to me because it looks like you're mocking stims, and I don't know how it can be seen any other way. And another autistic person said that too, and I completely agree with them, and you should watch them. There were also flashing lights. The music is pretty loud, and there was a lot of color. Most autistic people would get overstimulated and probably would get a sensory overload and maybe have a meltdown if they saw these kind of things. If Sia intends to make a film about autism, make it at least accessible to people with autism. Am I right? Next, the movie is nominated for 2 Golden Globes. I honestly don't know why it would be nominated at all. It's a mediocre film with a bad message and it's ableist. Actually, I do know why. Sia directed it. The Golden Globes chose her movie so she would show up. So people think, oh, well, if it has 2 Golden Globes, it can't be that ableist. Maybe it's a good movie, when in reality it isn't. She tried to pull a Mamma Mia or a K-12, but she just pulled a What's Eating Gilbert Grape. And if you have seen that, you'll understand. I haven't, but I'm cultured, so I know what role Leo DiCaprio plays. In conclusion, not only Sia, but every celebrity needs to be held accountable for their actions. For example, J.K. Rowling, she's a TERF. Jeffree Star said the N-word and a lot more. And even Ellen for toxic workplace accusations. That being said, you shouldn't blame Maddie for playing that part. She was Sia's main dancer, performer, and now actress. How do you imagine Maddie would have felt if Sia got upset with her for not playing that part? Sia would probably show visible disappointment and feature Maddie in less projects. Sia didn't just ruin Maddie's, but also Leslie's and Kate's, and even her own reputation. I'll end this by saying, don't watch it. And don't ever crush an autistic person, no matter your intent. Don't crush anyone for that matter. Thanks for watching, and hit the like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos.